impress anybody, but it's September, and I mean apples.
Don't say that.
No. Apples are coming around, and I wanted to show you something that you can do with apples that not everyone does, but it's a great batch recipe. You can do a big batch of this, and I'm talking about the apple butter. This stuff is delicious. There's no butter in it. The reason they call it, I'm not sure why they call butter.
It should be apple jam.
It's not, but it's not jam. So we're cooking it to a point where it's almost like a butter consistency, like a soft butter consistency, and you can use it for like the same if jam. So you can put it on toast. You can put it in, eat it as a dip, but you can use it in recipes as a substitute for butter, which is great. So that we're actually going to make the butter, and then we're going to use it to make some oatmeal cookie bites. So with the apples, you can start off with as much as you want. I put 2 pounds there. It kind of figured out to be 1 pound of apples will give you about a cup of apple butter. So if you want to make, 5 pounds, do a few mason jars. That would be a great idea. So we're going to put all the apples in to a big pot, like that one up there. I don't know if you guys can see that.
Jump up and get it.
I'm
No.
too sure.
Darn.
Or you can use a slow cooker too. If you guys have like a large slow cooker, you set it on low heat with the lid on, and we're gonna add just a little bit of acid. So you can use lemon juice or apple cider vinegar, and lid on, low heat, and let it cook for about 3.5 hours to 4 hours. Check on it every once in a while. Stir it until it looks like this. It's almost applesauce. This is applesauce at this point. It'll kind of break down. The apples break down. The liquid in the apples is out. And then we're going to process it. So we're going to take our blender. And I didn't peel the apples at all. Leave the skins on. They're,
Fibrous.
fibrous. Yeah, they're some of the best part of the apples. You won't even notice them after. So this goes in.
And it's a prettier color than the yellow kind of applesauce that you're used to.
And you can use whatever apples you want. I use a mixture of Mac and Tosh and Honeycrisp. So whatever apples you want, you can kind of mix it up to add a little bit of sour apple, a little bit of sweet apple. And then I'm going to add a little bit of flavor here. So I got a little bit of cinnamon, and there you can have a nutmeg, clove, whatever you like. A little bit of brown sugar, and you don't need too much. And this ingredient is optional. It's not necessary at all. It is a little trick that I learned from this podcast. I nerd out at night and listen to food podcasts, so I come up across these amazing, cool techniques. So this is one of them, and I'm using malt powder, which is used also in brew making or to make beer. It's not a readily available ingredient. You can find it in some specialty stores, but what's very cool about it is that a combination of malt and a little bit of salt, so malt and salt, will mimic the flavor of pie crust. It is incredible.
Wow.
How it does this. Yes, so that's why I call it cinnamon roll apple butter. There's no cinnamon rolls, or there's no pie crust in here, but with a little bit of the malt in there. And I'm not going to get into the exact scientific process
Aww.
about it. Well, if you want to know, you can email me. And a little bit of salt.
Do you have to get the perfect malt to salt ratio for it to work?
I haven't found it, so I just add a little pinch of salt and about a tablespoon of the malt powder. And it's going to give you, not only is it going to mimic this flavor, this subtle flavor of pie crust, it's going to make it super, super, super smooth and creamy. This is also used sometimes as a technique to make super creamy mashed potatoes without adding butter or cream. You can add a little bit of the malt powder and the salt, and what it does is it breaks down the starches to a point where it's just very, 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 very small, and it's just very, very creamy. So that's it. So those ingredients are in. We're going to start off with a slow pulse, especially if it's hot, just to mix everything together. And then you can carry it. Just a couple minutes to get it really nice and smooth. Break down those apple peels. little bit further, but you don't really need too much more time. I don't know if you guys can see that, how creamy it is. So I mean, this is delicious as is, but we're gonna cook it even more. And that it is a little bit, of a process. But
That would be
it is
delicious
worth
on
it.
pancakes.
Oh man, it is really, really good. It's almost like a caramel sauce. But again, there's no butter in it.
And I'm sure everybody's heard an apple a day keeps the doctor away. And so why is that? What are the health benefits of apples? They contain a certain type of fiber called pectin. And pectin works as a prebiotic. So a prebiotic means that it acts as food for the healthy bacteria that's in your digestive tract. As opposed to a probiotic means it's the actual bacteria that you're consuming. So when you eat the pectin in apples, all the healthy bacteria in your colon start to thrive and ward off some of the less healthy so that you have a better balance of the good guys in your colorectal system. And so that's been shown to help reduce risk of colorectal cancer and improve your digestion, which are very important to your overall health.
And so when you cook it down for about an hour, you let it cool, and it gets to be just about this dark, so almost like caramel. And like I said, you can use this as a dip for apples. You can use this in any sort of baking as a substitute for butter. And now we're gonna make really quick oatmeal cookies. You can use it in your favorite recipe. This is a quick one that I like to do because the measurements don't have to be exact. That's what I like about oatmeal cookies. You can kind of pretty much eyeball it.
If you're a baker, it's usually an exact science, but we like to do ones here that you can experiment with and play with the ratios somewhat.
The only rule I would suggest is mix your dry ingredients separately and then combine them. There's just less mess. It's easier to combine that way. So I've got about a cup of oats to about a cup and a quarter of oats to about 3 1/4 cup of spelt flour. You can use whole wheat flour, whatever flour you want.
Spelt it's a wheat, so if you're gluten-free, spelt wouldn't be appropriate. Although if you have a gluten intolerance or a sensitivity that's not full-blown celiac disease, some people find spelt is easier for them to tolerate. It's also more nutritious than the typical whole wheat that we see. Higher in minerals.
And so I've added just a little bit of baking soda, baking powder, half a teaspoon each, and then again sliced almonds, whatever you want at that point.
Get some protein in your cookies so that you get extra staying power and you don't get hungry or blood sugar spike afterwards with that protein, healthy fat, and the fiber in the oats as well. It's going to help.
And some chopped apple and dates in there. And then we're going to start with our wet ingredients. So this, you can use an egg, one whole egg, or this is a great substitute for an egg. They're called the flax egg. So it's ground flaxseed. So 1 part ground flaxseed to about 3 parts water. So I'm going to get about a tablespoon of ground flax, to about 3 tablespoons of water, and it mimics, when you let it sit, it actually mimics the consistency of an egg. So this is great for baking when the egg is used as to combine
As a binder.
As a binder, not as a leavener. A leavener, that's not a word. Not used to leaven.
I think it should be a word if it's not.
So that's why I'm adding the baking soda, baking powder. That's going to create the leavening for me. And this is going to create a great binding action. So about a tablespoon of flax.
Get some omega-3s into your cookies.
To about 3 tablespoons of water. And right now it just looks like water with flax in it. But as you let it sit, if you give it a couple minutes, it'll actually thicken up and get a little mucusy. It's not the greatest word, but a little mucusy on you.
But basically, yeah, the flax seeds will absorb some of the water, so it creates a gel. So you can do this with flax. I've seen some recipes where they use chia seeds or salba seeds to do it as well. It's a good way to get your ALA or your omega-3 fatty acids into your diet, which are those anti-inflammatory fats.
leave that, again, like leave that for a minute or two, just until it thickens up a little bit. And then we're gonna add the rest of our wet ingredients. So our sweetness is gonna come from maple syrup, just about half a cup. It's exactly half a cup. Know that.
He's good with the eyeballing. I'm not so much. I like to measure everything and make sure I have the proper amounts, but.
And we got about half a cup of the apple butter. And see how thick it got? It is. Do it. I'm telling you to do it. It's your homework. And we're going to mix that together. And then combine the dry ingredients in there slowly if you can.
The great thing about oats is they're one of the first foods that were able to carry a health and nutrition claim. So we know that if you basically get 2 grams of beta-glucan in your diet, and so 2 to 3 grams would be the amount in half a cup of raw large flake oats. It's been shown to help lower your LDL, or that bad cholesterol that we were talking about earlier. So not only the cholesterol benefits, but there was a big review of all the studies done on the health benefits of oats. And there's some studies showing that it can help you to control your weight because the soluble fiber, basically similar to the flaxseed, it absorbs the water that's in your digestive tract and makes you feel more full so that you don't eat as much later on. So it's been shown, the heart benefits, weight benefits, and also for type 2 diabetes, there's been a lot of studies looking at beta-glucan, which is that soluble fiber found in oats. And it's been shown that it helps to control your blood sugar and keep it more stable over time, both, in reaction to eating the oats and also at the next meal. So it has that carryover effect.
And so this, you have your oatmeal cookie batter. You can make your regular size cookies. What's nice is actually if you get one of these little melon ballers, you can make little bite-sized cookies. And again, it's a nice size of a snack, especially when food can be a little intimidating. When your appetite isn't there, smaller sized items are easier to eat and to enjoy. So that's it. Bake them in the oven for about 375. I think I have it at for about 15 minutes. I mean, it really doesn't take too much time. I like a softer oatmeal cookie. If you like a little crunchier, you just let it go a little longer. And look. So they have a really nice golden brown.
They remind me of granola bites.
Exactly.
So instead of having a whole granola bar, pop a couple of these, and it helps you to control your portions. Like Jeremy was saying, appetite, when your appetites are small, having a big plate or a couple of big cookies can be really intimidating and make people not want to eat as much. But it's less, challenging to try to have a couple of smaller cookies.
And if you've saved some of that apple butter, a little bit on top, makes it even better. And that's it. So those are the recipes for today. So thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.